Next on The Professional Rule Breaker.
Hi, my name's Greg Roworth from Business Flightpath, and I love listening to the Professional Rule Breaker podcast because Kathy, like me, is a rule breaker.
Well, welcome back to the Professional Rule Breaker podcast. I am your host, Kathy Walterhouse, and my guest today had an aha moment when his wife had a serious medical event, which meant that he couldn't work for 6 weeks. And so this experience showed that he needed to build a business that worked for him instead of him working for the business. So now he helps professional service firms become the authority in their market so they can attract premium clients consistently, predictably, and build a business that they can sell. So I want to welcome my guest, Greg Roworth.
Thank you, Kathy. Good to be here.
I'm happy to have you. I actually want to start with something that I said in the introduction, because obviously you had this major event with your wife being sick, and that you got this realization that you needed to be able to take some time off, but yet you had this business. So tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah, well, the good news is my wife survived that event, and
That's great.
have now been married for 44 years as of last week.
Wow, congratulations.
Thank you. But yes, the realization during that time was that my business only really worked because of me. And, I had a small team and I was happy to take the time off because they assured me, you need to take the time off. We've got your back. Don't worry, we'll look after the business. So I went away, with that reassurance that at least my team was supporting me and things should be okay. But by the time I came back to work 6 weeks later, we had no new clients and our cash flow was diabolical.
Uh-oh.
The work with the clients had been maintained, and so we were okay there, but we had no new work in the pipeline. And so no new clients, no pipeline. So really, we were going to struggle for the next few months because of that. And looking at that, I knew that I could get back in and make it happen, but that was just going to be a short-term fix, which needed to happen. And that's what I did. Got my sleeves rolled up and got stuck in again to, find the new clients and get the business back on track. But the realization was that if I had to continue to do that, and if I couldn't step away from the business without it going backwards, then I really didn't have a business at all. I was a struggle to survive stage of the business. And yeah, if I couldn't break out of that, then I would always have to stay working hard, making a business work.
So how did you break that cycle then? Because I think so many businesses are exactly like what you had experienced, right? That you are working in the business, and the minute you step away, it doesn't grow anymore potentially, or things go wrong because you are that central figure. So how did you make that change, and what advice can you give to people that are out there listening?
Well, the big realization was that the main purpose for me being in the business was to actually build the business, not to do the work of the business. And until that point, I saw that as the main thing, doing the work for clients, what we did for clients to help them succeed. And I was in a consultancy coaching business. So I was very passionate about helping our clients succeed in their businesses and working hard for them. But I realized that I had to actually work hard to build my own business, not just do the hard work to help my clients succeed. So it really, and the advice I guess that I now give to other clients is you've got to take a long-term view and not just a short-term approach. And the short term is, where's the next client coming from? How can I find the next client, and how can we keep the business ticking over and do that profitably? And as you said, a lot of other business owners are in that stage of business growth, and they get stuck there like I was until they realize that there's got to be something different, a different approach. So taking a long-term approach and actually planning what I wanted the business to become was the first step. And then deciding the businesses that I wanted to build, and then planning out how that was going to happen. So it helped. And this is a difficult challenge because you've got the pressures of surviving in the business, the cash flow issues, and doing the work and getting the invoices paid. But you've got to take some time out. And I guess there's nothing new about this, but you've got to work on the business as well as in the business. So actually, what I found enabling me to make that happen was to actually have a plan that gave me other priorities beyond just getting the work done and getting invoices paid, because we always default to what creates the most pressure in our lives. And without a plan, the pressure of getting the work done and invoices paid is the only thing that's really there. We can always think about what's ahead and what we'd like, but if we don't have a plan with actions and deadlines, we don't create that other pressure to get things done to build the business. So creating a plan for what we want the business to be and how to get there, and have some specific timelines and deadlines around actions that need to be taken to do that, is the key to flipping that switch into a success mode rather than a survival mode.
Okay. I can absolutely see that. It's almost like I wouldn't call it a succession plan, but how can, planning so that your business will run smoothly without you being there, like putting all the steps in place. And one of the things I love that you said is having timelines or deadlines for that as well, because I think so many of us, we kind of know that's something we need to do, right?
That's right.
And it'll be like, I'll get to it. And then you don't get to it.
That's right.
So I love that you have like the dates or setting things up that way. So
That's right.
does that relate to, I saw something that you had said about have the mindset of an investor, not an employee. I mean, is that kind of relates to that as well?
Yes.
Hey there, I'm all about making a big difference, making this really big impact. So I am so thrilled to introduce to you today's podcast sponsor. They are the very last U.S. family-owned manufacturer of consumer goods products that you use every single day, and you run out of them every single day. And on top of that, their products are healthier and safer for you, and they have been made here in the great USA. My family made the switch, and I am so happy that we did, and so is everyone else in the family, because the products are amazing. So while these big giant corporations are just getting bigger and so many small businesses are really struggling to survive, why not help me in rooting for the underdog? And I'm all about the underdog, instead of these giant 11 conglomerates that control 97% of the North American consumer goods market. So if you're ready to make a difference and switch away to something bigger and better, go to switchaway.com/rule breaker, drop your information, and one of my friends will reach out to you directly. And let's all switch away together to better quality products that are healthier and safer for you, and support family-owned businesses, because together we can rewrite the business landscape and make a difference one person at a time.
Exactly right. Yeah, that you've got to flip that mind switch. And I think when we start business, we're usually in an occupation. We've come out of, particularly in professional services like I am in. I was an accountant to start with, so I set up in business as an accountant and did accounting work. So I was running my occupation, but if you do well at your occupation as a self-employed person, you build a team around you. You get more work than you can handle on your own, and you get referrals, and you start to build a team. So you move out of being in that occupation phase to becoming an operator in your business. So you're still doing the work of the business and supporting the team as well as you can, but you're still an operator in the business. So you might move from struggle to survival stage, but you're still self-employed and you still have that mindset of an employee. And, we tend to look at doing the work in the business like I did. I was doing the work for my clients, getting the invoices paid. But to look at building a business, you've got to look at that with the mindset of an investor, because an investor looks at business differently. A business owner, self-employed business owner, looks to do the work to get paid and work hard in their business. An investor looks at a business in terms of putting in money into a business to invest in the business so that the business works for them and the money works for them to get a return on their investment. So instead of working hard in the business, they're looking for the business to work hard for them. And that's the mindset change that I had to see, that I needed to stop working hard for my business and turn the business into an investment that worked hard for me.
I love that. I think that it's almost something that you should have posted on your wall somewhere.
That's right.
Or maybe a question, is your business working hard for you today? Or something like that. Just as a reminder that, stop being the employee. If you really, really, I think the more that you want to help people, you have to build a business that allows for you to help people in a broader scale, rather than just like a one-on-one type of consultancy. At least that's what my viewpoint is.
Well, that's another key element to the change that I had to make, and to see that my business was not just about making money for me. If that's all that our aim is in business, then who else is going to support us with that? No one's really interested in helping make you rich. So
yeah, I would say most people aren't really into that. They want to make themselves rich.
That's right. So I had to change my vision from making myself rich to contributing to other people in a cause that they could support.
Great.
So creating a vision and a mission for the business that the team signed up to as well, so that we're all fighting for the same cause. We're all fighting for the welfare of our clients. And when you can build a team around that cause, they are self-motivated to make that happen. You don't have to motivate people who are signed up to support a cause that they're invested in themselves. So that fundamental change of focus of having a mission to support our clients and help them succeed, and having the team signed up to that, took away a lot of the pressure of me having to manage a team and motivate them and drive them, so that they are self-motivated. And eventually, because they have that same vision, you can let them go and let them do that without you having to be involved. And that's the key stage to creating a scalable and saleable business, is to have your team running the business for you, so that the business works for you and you don't have to be there to make it work.
So is that like one of the stages of business growth, in which having a team that literally runs your business for you. And they're so motivated because they have the
Mm.
vision and the mission that it's almost like a self-standing, like a
Mm.
self-standing. It doesn't need you anymore, but yet you can be there to even provide maybe a bigger vision of like what the next
Mm.
step might be.
That's right. Yeah. Well, I call that moving from the stage of survival to scalability,
Okay.
where as the owner of the business, you're moving from being the operator to being the orchestrator.
Okay.
So you're still involved, but operating at a higher level. You're operating as the leader, the guide, the orchestrator, like standing out in front of the orchestra instead of being part of the band and taking that leadership role where you are setting the vision, you're setting the direction, but you're having people that are highly talented and skillful following your directions and moving along until you get to the next level. Your business becomes saleable, where you start to be the overseer rather than the orchestrator, and you then have a business that runs totally by itself. You can be that true investor
Mhm.
and look at, what else can I invest my time and effort in.
And then that is the final stage. What's the final stage then? Is that considered to be? Because I
That's
know there's four stages. Is that selling the
Yes,
business
the
at the end?
final, the salability
When you're
stage
ready.
when you're ready. Yeah, if and at that point, you're often in a stage of supremacy in your market domination. You've built the business where you're the leader in the market and highly attractive business, but because it's profitable and it runs by itself, you have a choice. You may want to sell the business, but you may also continue to allow it to run profitably and you live off the income from the business. So that's the ideal stage you can be at because you have the choice of what you do uh, without any need to sell the business at all.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that's at that point you can sell the business at maximum price because you're not under pressure to sell the business. It's still providing you a solid income, so there's no need to sell. So you can.
Actually, that's a really good thought because I think a lot of times when businesses get sold, it's like a fire sale, is because they
That's right.
have to be sold and maybe
Yeah.
they're trying to either break even or get a
Mm.
little bit of a profit.
That's right. Mm. Yeah, well, if you don't have to sell, you've got the power in the negotiation.
Mhm. Yeah, I always like the
Mm.
power in negotiation. There's nothing more
Yep.
fun than having power in negotiation. That's for sure. So
Mm.
let me ask you this. What is like one of the most surprising things that you have seen when you're trying to take your clients from one stage to the other?
Mm. One's most
There's probably
surprising.
more than one, I bet.
Yeah, there's a lot. There's two examples that I really love to talk about because they're life-changing events. And both of these clients were women in early stages of family development. And for one, both of them were working around about 70-hour weeks when they came to me asking for help. And they were really, the key figure in their business. And both of them one wanted to start their family, the other one wanted to have a second child. But with the amount of work they were doing in the business, just could see no way that was going to be possible to take off the time to support a new baby and be involved in all of that while running a business at the same time. So when we started working and helping them focus on building their business so that it could work without them, in both cases within 18 months they had the new baby and were able to take pretty much the whole time off for
That's
the first
fantastic.
year of that baby's life to
Wow.
really, and the business grew while they had that time off as well and grew successfully without them having to be there the whole time.
So was
Both of
that
them.
from the mindset change or what was that? It's almost like
Well,
I want to dive into your brain a little bit to figure
yeah,
this to figure this out. Is it because you got them to start thinking more like the investor
yeah.
rather than
That
just
and
every day I got to go and
mm,
I got to do all these things because the business is dependent on me?
That's right. Yeah, that mindset switch has to come first. You can't do it without having that mindset of becoming the investor, because you will just continue to do the hard work if you don't change that. So, and the challenge again here is to start to do the things on working on the business, of building the business, rather than just doing the work in the business. So having that mindset switch to prioritize the importance of the business growth and development outside of working in the business, and setting aside time for that. And with particularly with professional service type businesses, whenever you take time away from client work, it means that the billing drops. Your income earning capacity is less. So and I guess that's the same pretty much for most business owners, but particularly relevant for professional services. So it's always a challenge to look at, how do I reduce the time that I can make income and devote my time into increasing the income building capacity of the business? So having that mindset to say, well, this is possible. I may take a short-term hit, but the long-term payoff is going to be much more. And that's the investor mindset to do that, because an investor has to put money in first before they see a return. So in this case, it's sort of both money and time invested in the business growth and development, rather than the business billing and income.
Right.
But then, having made that switch, there needs to be a systematic approach to growing that business, and to doing that successfully. It's not a random process. There's a structured approach to doing that. And that's what we use with our clients, to take them through that planning process and then implementing the plan according to the timelines and the deadlines that we've set through that planning process.
Interesting. Yeah. Because it's almost a switch for, you can do, how should I put it, sweat equity, the daily grind.
Yes.
And then you'll be stuck in the daily grind forever.
That's right.
Or if you take a little bit of a step back, or maybe say, for an hour a day or something like that, I'm not going to do this daily grind. I'm going to do the planning of the next steps and the bigger picture of what I need to do to make this business valuable.
That's right. Yeah. It's taking that. So yeah, whether it's an hour a day or maybe half a day a week, it doesn't take a lot of time, but it does take the dedication and the discipline to set aside that time that you plan to set aside, and actually do the work, shut out the rest of the business pressures for that time, and focus on where the business is going and how to get it there.
That's right. Lock yourself in a room, no phone, and just go work on the things that you need to work on.
That's right.
Yeah.
And ideally involve your team. If you have a team, involve your team in the process as well. So delegate some of the business growth tasks to them.
Okay. That's a great thought. That's a great thought. Like, what would you say, like, what would be, let's say you have a brand new client. What would be other than saying you need to set aside some time to plan, what would be some examples of like what they could delegate to their team?
Yeah. So, well, once we have the plan created, and we can put in that planning process the systemization of the operating procedures in the business. So because their team is involved in those operations all the time, they can start to document what they do and look at building the operations manual for the business. So that's one area you can involve your team. And that may be as simple as recording what you do on a video recording as you're doing certain tasks, and then having someone else copy out or transcribe or document that process. So there are ways to shift that burden of responsibility from yourself to the team, so that they can help you set it up for success as well.
That's great. Oh, that's really great advice. So, Greg, tell me, what makes you a rule breaker? Because that's who I have on the show, are rule breakers.
Right. Yeah. For me, I've I've always been someone who's looked for a better way. I'm not content to just play within the lines. And, starting out work as an accountant, you might think that's, typically an occupation where there are some very strict guidelines and playing
Right.
with the lines. And being a creative accountant is probably not very well
I've never
looked upon.
heard those terms together, or maybe creative accounting usually is things that are not good.
That's right. So, but to be able to break the rules in the accounting profession and look at, not breaking the rules that, legal and having to do
Right.
it the right way, but the traditions of the business, traditional approaches to finding clients, to building a team, to, being the person. A lot of accountants, particularly, are always the accountant in the business, and clients always come to them and see them as the person they will relate to. So for me, looking at, if I was going to build a business, then it couldn't be me that the clients saw as the person they needed to relate to. I had to build the capability of my team so that the clients were just as happy to relate to the team. So, this evolved into the coaching consulting area, where we started to take on more clients that were looking not just at the historical records of the business, but looking forward into where their business is going. I developed the systems and processes and then the training systems to train my team to do the work that I was doing for my clients. So my focus shifted from me being the one that does the work to training my team to be the ones that do the work with clients. So having that focus, not being the one that is involved in all the networking meetings and going out to find clients, systemizing our client acquisition process and enabling other people to bring in the leads and to do the sales. And the same as training the team to be the people who deliver the work to the clients, so that I was able to step back from that position preeminence in the business to become redundant in the business. And when you can achieve that, your business is ultimately saleable.
That's fantastic. I think that's a great goal for a lot of people to have out there. Not everybody, of course, wants to sell their business,
No,
but I think to be in the position where you
that,
can
yeah.
sell your business if you want to, I think is a
That's
really
right.
fantastic place to be.
I mean, I still enjoy working in my business now. I mean, I've sold 3 consulting practices, but I still enjoy working as a consultant. But the ultimate is to be able to work in the business because you want to, not because you have to.
Okay, absolutely. So, Greg, where can people find you?
Well, pretty much on LinkedIn a fair bit. So just do a search for me on LinkedIn, Greg Roworth, or at my website, businessflightpath.com. There's plenty of opportunities to connect with me through some free materials I have available, or to get in touch with me and have a chat.
Yeah, I love the name of your company, by the way. I think that's a brilliant name.
Yeah, well, it
So,
helps.
so
That's
we will
exactly what I
have,
do.
yes, we will have all of your contact information in the show notes. So I highly recommend for folks to start thinking about a little bit of some of the things that Greg brought to the table today. Because are you working in your business, or are you working on your business? If you're working on your business, there's a scalability. You can help more people. And you know that I'm all about helping people. Again, it's like throwing a rock into a stream and creating that ripple effect and
Mhm.
changing the world. And that's something that every single one of you out there can do that. So I want to thank my guest, Greg Roworth. And again, his information will be in the show notes. And if you like this episode, be sure to give us 5 stars and reach out to Greg. And if you also need some help in the sales and thinking outside the box, just like Greg thinks outside the box, head over to theprofessionalrulebreaker.com. And until next time, my friends, go out there, make a difference in the world, just like what Greg is doing. And then, of course, break some rules, but legally, please.